Afternoon, guys. So, you know what? This dress really does not look like this in real life, but on the TV is looking a little bit like I'm lascivious. Well, anyway, we are here today to speak with Ronne Rock. I showed up here about 30 minutes ago because I was so organized. Hey, Mary. Ronne is a tremendous woman. She travels the world. She does leader. She's a great leader, but she's a leader with great empathy. I can't say that enough. She is wicked smart and sharp. She helps orphans. She helps organizations organize their gifting, their giving. Oh, there she is. So I can just shut my mouth. Hey, Ronne, I'm coming to get you. Oh, there you are.
Look, here I have.
Oh my God, look how beautiful. I feel like I should put on my headset so nobody interrupts me in my world with you, namely my family.
That's fine. I kicked my dog out of the office, so hopefully everything.
You look amazing. Ronne, thank you so much for saying yes to this.
Oh man, I couldn't say no, right? I could not say no. We need to be saying yes a whole lot more right now.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Ronne, I'm just telling people how I met you. I met you for, I don't know, several years back through Launch Out with, I know, Leanne and Randy Langley.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, we haven't seen each other since then.
No, we're not
Um,
in real life human person. No. I,
no, but we've been following. We've been following each other.
yeah.
And I've learned a lot actually through following you that you are pretty badass. Like you're doing some really major things around the world. Yeah, you don't have to be cute and bring that down. Let that light shine, girl. Let it shine.
No, we're just right. We're just serving. That is,
Yeah.
hey, I like it. Hey, my fellow Austin home.
I love it. I
No,
love it.
we're just serving. And I think all of us, right? We want to and this is not about any kind of savior complex or anything. I think that we all would like to think that when we have whatever our final breath is going to be on this earth, that we're not anonymous, right?
That's right. We're not forgotten.
That we
Left
maybe
something.
a little bit better, and maybe that's a neighbor or just that, or maybe that's our family or whatever. But that our life, that our name will not just
Disappear.
disappear. And so,
You know what scripture I always think about when I hear that, when I even just contemplate people's life.
sorry.
The scripture that says, except that a stalk of wheat falls to the ground, it abides alone. The way that our life has greater meaning and greater space than the years that we are allotted is that we give it away. We pour our lives into other people. If you don't pour anything into other people, when you go, bye-bye. And for me, it's the saddest. You've wasted this life.
Some of the most challenging, crotchety, frustrated, angry people that I have ever met are the ones that sit and point fingers at everybody else going, well, that's not the way you need to do it. You need to do it over here. Not sure because, oh, we get it, right? I do. Normally, if I'm not in lockdown, I do travel a lot to developing countries. And whole lot from folks that will say, why are you caring for kids in Kenya? Why aren't you caring for kids right here? And I'm like, well, first of all,
Look at my face.
kids right here. And so talk to me about the kids you're caring for.
Right.
Oh, your kids.
Amen. Here's the thing that I get when I hear that. First, criticize no good that is being done because there's always more good that can be done. So join the rankings, brother.
Yeah.
Like to me, there are too many awful things happening in the world.
Yeah.
That when someone is doing good, I say, do not criticize the good. Like I've heard people say that they're like, well, Oprah started a school in South Africa. Why didn't she start a school here? Then you need to start that school here.
Yeah.
We don't criticize someone meeting the need.
Yeah.
You know what? We do not criticize good. Criticize bad. because also it detracts from our energy. You're taking your time to criticize some really great stuff that first of all, now you're telling me there's so many other things wrong that I don't even know if I can touch that, Ronnie.
Well, and none of us are called, and I know I got a book out coming out next.
Good. June 16th. I'm telling people. There it is.
But the thing is this is not, I mean, you called me a badass, but this is a badass girl boss book. This is women that I have met. They're just doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
They are just saying, okay, there's a need. I'm here. I make. I probably.
You keep going out, Ronnie.
Uh-oh.
I don't want your voice to be lost because you're talking something that I want to hear.
Oh, I don't know why it's going out.
There. You sound great. Yeah.
Okay. So, but the women that are in this book are not women who had a 5-year plan with management by objective and all the money in the world and all the talent in the world. They are not women that when they were 5 years old said, oh, I'm going to get my doctorate and I'm going to do whatever.
Right.
They are women like us that have had some beautiful things happen to them, have had some really sucky things happen to them, have walked the road and then just said, here's a gap. And if I don't, I'm going to stand in that gap. And I may fall, I may stumble. I will guarantee you not get it fully right, but I'm going to try.
Yes.
And so that, like for me and what I do right now, working for Orphan Outreach, which
talk about that.
Shame.
Honestly,
yeah.
I want you to talk about that. I want first of all, I want you to tell people where you are, what you do, and then talk about Orphan. And then we're going to keep diving into relationships. Go ahead.
Sounds good. Okay. So I'm Ronne Rock, and that legit is my name. My full name is Veronica. My mom, I'm a woman of a certain age.
35.
Something like that. In my, and so my mom's favorite Hollywood actress was Veronica Lake. So that's how I got the name Veronica. And then it became Ronnie in 8th grade and then never went away. And then I married a cool dude with the last name of Rock. So then I got like Ronne Rock.
I mean, it's a hot name, Ronnie. I literally put it in the intro too. I was like, yes, that's her real name.
I know. See, I like two women talking to each other that both have names that nobody can pronounce. I love this.
I know, but cha-cha, what, no, it's Shay. I know. Yeah.
So I live actually just outside of Austin, Texas, in the true technical Texas Hill Country, but still in a city. So I have all the conveniences because
a girl's got to get her stuff done.
You know, this blonde doesn't grow itself. So oh my gosh, I started in marketing things like a bajillion years ago. And that was my goal. It still is. I still do marketing. I have worked.
What did you want to do in marketing when you thought, I want to get into marketing? What was it that you wanted to do, bring, or receive from marketing?
Okay. I didn't think I wanted to be in marketing. I actually went to college because I wanted to be an investigative reporter. Yes. I wanted a chick that sat on 60 Minutes and heard that tick, 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 tick.
I like it.
Bring you down if you were the bad guy. I even started modeling in my late teens and through like the 30s. And it was not model. It was so I'd learn how to do my hair and makeup differently because I take down the bad guys. So
the bad guys wouldn't see you coming.
They would not, because they would go bad too. And then that. So,
oh my God.
The thing is that I got into journalism school and like even on scholarship and stuff, and then realized I hated news writing.
Right?
It was boring.
It's so boring.
You're like, that's all I get to share with.
Yeah. Right, like you're speaking to third graders.
So I then moved into journalism on the production side. And
Uh-huh.
then my whole goal was I wanted to be a creative director for my own agency and do short form, compelling short form video and short documentaries. That's,
Mm-hmm. Okay, Mad Men. I see where you're going with that.
I was still going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I worked in television and I started as an intern doing advertising production. So I was the chick like in the bottom of a car holding up a reflector so the car would look good in the commercial.
Oh my God, I just snorted. That was terrible. Sorry.
You know what? You want to work? You hold up a reflector.
We do it.
And
One time I was, as a little sidebar, one time I was Greg Biffle's. Um, he's a NASCAR driver. I do not even watch NASCAR. I know nothing about NASCAR. But once I was his body uh double fitter for his car. Like they used me sitting in the car to make sure it fit him, which lets you know he's not a tall guy.
you're like a stunt double.
But without the car moving. Let me
Oh,
clarify that.
so, but the thing is, I got in television and I first did commercial stuff. Then an opportunity opened up and I did get in news, but I was on the backside of it, running a camera. I got a promotion. I got a promotion because the thing is that this is going to show my age, man. I made $5 an hour. I actually made $5.25 an hour because I got a 25-cent differential because I was willing to come to work before 5 a.m. And
So the big dollars.
I got the huge dollars, right? Um, I I was the only one willing to shower and dress, so I got a promotion. And so then I became a production assistant. Well, in doing that, I started doing marketing for this early morning news show. Then that led to being in the marketing department at this TV station, which then one thing led to another. So I'm an accidental marketer, even though if you know me and if you follow me, you know that um, if I am if I'm passionate about something, it's going to leak out anyway. If it
Absolutely.
leaks out, so marketing is a really healthy place for me to live. It
Yep.
really is. And I enjoy it. And so I did it in television. I worked for a major airline. I worked for a major global retailer that no longer is around. It made me so
Which one? Which one? Tell me
Blockbuster.
again.
Blockbuster.
Oh, Blockbuster. That was my jam. Got me through college, girl.
Series make it a blockbuster night. So I did marketing. I did a lot of marketing that also had other advertisers and partners involved because just that just worked for me as well. And I loved to use other people's money to do cool things,
That's smart.
which that's why I'm really good at in the nonprofit world right now because I'm like, share your money and we'll go do good things. So, but then I did all of that, got back into television, had this itch though down inside,
Mm-hmm.
like that holy discontent that says, okay,
There's
I'm
more.
doing, but there's something more. And
Mm-hmm.
I took the leap a little over 10 years ago to jump into the nonprofit space.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've been with the Orphan Outreach for, oh my gosh, I started as a volunteer with them. In fact, one of my bestest buddies is watching right now, Courtney Nowakowski, and she and I, man, back in the day, we led mission trips together, still do. So that's how I got started, was as a volunteer. Then started doing freelance writing for them, and now I manage engagement.
So what is when you say, can you tell us what the outreach company does? Is it that they support the orphans in their country, or do they help people connect with orphans and possibly adopt? What is it that they do?
That's what I love about Orphan Outreach is that we focus on what's in the best interest of the child. And we look at really the whole scope of what makes a child vulnerable.
Mm.
Right? So we start with We start before a child may ever be removed from a home, because what we're going to try to do is bolster that family, figure out how you elevate that family. So we make sure that that kid gets an education, because we know that's a serious piece of the puzzle.
Huge,
Doesn't
huge.
education. If a kid doesn't have access to food, their brain won't work, right? Because their belly is hungry. So
It's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You know, the base of the pyramid. If you don't have food, don't talk to me about recycling.
yeah, yeah. Don't talk to me about getting the kid in college,
Right.
have access to basic fundamental education.
Right.
A lot of times, and man, we could go into a whole conversation about this, is a lot of times we will take our United States based mindset
Mm.
and try to project that into the rest of the world and shame the rest of the world and shame culture.
I want to ask you a question. When you say the United States of America mindset, what does that mean to you, Ronnie?
It's a bootstrapping mindset. If you think about it, our country was founded by renegades that said, I want my own freedom. I want to do my thing. And especially for those of us who look like me and are pretty oatmeal.
That's
I'm
right. White.
brown sugar oatmeal right now.
My great aunt used to call me brown sugar.
Ah, and
She did. She'd say, brown sugar, come here, brown sugar. I
so,
loved it.
or if you look at the population just holistically, we came rebelling against, right? It's like, be free. I want to be independent. So that mindset is deep in us. And we are bootstrappers by nature.
So what you're saying is we go over to these other countries and kind of like, why don't you get your act together? Work
Oh,
hard,
yeah.
pull it up.
One of the biggest, Julia, my friend, I miss you so much, sweetie. She's on right now. And
Good. Hey, Julia.
all the time, she lives in Guatemala, and we'll have folks and they'll go, well, you know, all you need to do is not taking any time to sit, shut up, listen, understand culture, understand history, understand bias, and
Absolutely.
the prejudices and classism. That's what we see a lot. It's not just racism, it's classism that you find in a lot of these developing countries. So
I find, sorry to interrupt you, I find that human beings will you will be the most creative you've ever seen to come up with ways to hate one another. The most creative. Like I'm like, God, you had to really reach for that one, but we will find a way to demark you over there and us over here. We
yeah,
will find a way to make that happen, won't we?
we natural or tribal. We're tribal, right? We're herding creatures. So some of that, and we have to learn how to recenter that and reframe that idea of what herding and what tribe looks like, right? So orphan outreach starts with vulnerable situations. So we'll go into a community, and we don't go in without being invited and asked.
How do you find the vulnerable communities?
A lot of it is somebody who's working in that community themselves, who then reaches out. It is so much of it is relational. Or it is somebody that says, hey, I know of a group that is, what we'll find too is we'll find groups that are marginalized within marginalized communities, right? So
Right. Kind of
people,
like the dark skinned black person
yeah,
amongst the community. I'm not trying to be funny. Like we've learned that though through colonization and
yeah,
through the brainwash of that which is close, that which is white or closest to white is right, and
mhm,
that which gets further away from white gets wronger. So even in the black community, you will see the light skin, curlier hair person more elevated, and we are a marginalized community. So it's very interesting that you said that.
yeah. So in India, perfect, right? Is that it's one of the places that we work, one of the countries, work in 8 countries around the world. And India is one of those countries. And we work with an amazing woman that you'll meet in the book. And she works with children and families living with HIV. So there you go. You've got a marginalized population because you've got a people group that's kind of isolated. And
Hmm.
so within India, because you have so many states and so many cultures coming in,
Hmm.
there can be a lot of just oppression and classism. And if you're an orphan in parts of India, you're automatically relegated to the lowest caste.
The lowest caste, and you can't get out of those caste system. Like you're in it.
So, but you've got those kids that are they're already vulnerable. Then let's just tack on HIV. They are not one of those kids did anything to put themselves in a position of vulnerability to for HIV, for them, like
Yes.
themselves in that. They are kids who, because of drug abuse and a variety of things, it is something that's been passed down to them by parents, many parents who have passed on. But then you're dealing with the fear that people have.
That they're gonna catch it.
They're going to catch it if I get close to them. I
Don't
mean,
sneeze on me and give me that AIDS.
and it's serious.
Hmm.
There's a beautiful young lady now who's, oh my gosh, teenager. She's thriving, going to go to college. She's doing very well. But when they found her, she was literally caged because her parents had passed away. Her relatives didn't know what to do with her, but they were afraid of her. And so they locked her up and passed food underneath
Are you kidding me?
because they wanted to isolate her because they were so afraid. Now,
Was she HIV positive? Did they know that?
yeah.
God,
So,
oh.
and and I'll say, so let me wrap up orphan outreach and then I'll tell you how that's impacted, I guess, what I do, whatever.
Don't worry about it. Take your time.
So we start with vulnerable communities because the goal is that you don't want a child, if they don't need to be removed from a home, to be removed from a home. We want to strengthen family. We promote family,
Hmm. I just
right?
want to say, if there's any children out there that don't have a place, let me know.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
So, and there are right here in the U.S.
I wanted to. I just need help because it's
Um,
hard to navigate it. But anyway.
oh, it is. It is. So we'll start there. Now, if a child though if there is abuse, neglect, there are things that that child does need to be removed,
Removed.
right? Um, you're still promoting family, so it is fine. It is supporting quality therapeutic residential care that is going to help that child heal,
Hmm.
provide what that child needs to become whole again. So we have that. So like on one side, it's building schools and it's after school programs and it's putting clean stoves in families' homes
Yes.
and digging some water wells and stuff
Hmm.
that we take so for granted, but can literally be life saving. Then it is providing safe haven, right? And this is all working with ministry partners. We're from the US. We don't have none of us have every answer. It is coming alongside and partnering, right?
And would you say that, I want to really emphasize this, would you say that the people who come alongside you guys and you guys go into these foreign countries to the United States, wouldn't you say that you guys are the ones who are reaping some of the greatest and deepest benefits of entering these different cultures? And
Oh,
then they are receiving from you?
yeah. It is truly, you're co-laboring, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're supposed to be doing.
Hmm.
We're co-laboring. And we are a faith-based organization. So we're a three-chord strand, right? We're coming alongside and we've got Jesus holding us tight together and we're working together. And with a shared desire of elevating a child and giving a child an opportunity to have an independent and fulfilled life.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant. I want to also ask just a question about the demographics, just because I think it's really interesting. And I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about it. So, when you guys are going to these, you said 8 different nations, or did you say 9? I
Eight.
can't, 8.
I don't
8,
in the US, and that's where we're based,
right. Hmm.
based and looking for some domestic opportunities. We are in Latin America, Asia, Eastern Europe, and Africa. So
What has been the most, I guess, difficult thing about taking on this new position, not new position per se, but when you first kind of got into this world with the orphan outreach? What was the most difficult thing for you?
Most difficult thing for me is thinking that I had answers. That
Right.
was difficult. And it was, I mean, thank God I had some kind human beings. But when I first jumped into marketing in the nonprofit space, and I worked for another orphan care organization first, then I got into church marketing for 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
director for a multi-venue church, and then left that to work for orphan outreach. So, because I'd been volunteering for
How
forever,
long have you been at Orphan Outreach?
6 years now.
6 years. Okay.
So, but when I first started taking those steps into the nonprofit space, and especially working in vulnerable communities,
Sure.
the first thing I had to lay down was that idea that I was coming because they had a problem and I'd be there to fix it.
I'm so that is isn't that a trip? How we'll do that? We'll be like, let me tell you the problem I got. What
Mm.
is what will heal your ailment? I have it.
Oh,
And then
and
you get there and you're like, first of all, I think most of the time the people who come, that's why I wanted to stress that. I met my husband. He was a missionary in the Bahamas, which we still joke about to this day. I'm like, I feel the Lord called me to Hawaii
yeah,
because, like the Bahamas, it is a Christian nation too, but it's interesting because, America would lose their mind if they thought people were coming over here to be missionaries. They'd be like,
we need missionaries.
they'd be like, how are you coming over to us?
Please come to the U.S. We need Jesus big time. Sorry.
No, I love it. I love it. When so you are a Southern woman in through and through,
Yep. I
and
was.
you
I am an Okie, which I can say.
Oklahoma,
I can say I'm an Okie.
but
Don't
I can't.
dare call me an Okie. But I can say I'm an Okie.
I
Yeah,
will not call you an Okie, but I do remember that there was this guy, and he'd say, "I'm an Okie from Muskogee."
yeah, yeah. I hated that song. I'm an Okie because that would be the only song anybody would ever sing.
I didn't even know what he was talking about. I just sound they were funny sounding words to me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they are. So, but yeah, I'm originally from Oklahoma City,
Mm-hmm.
and and I lived on the wrong side of town.
Mm.
I lived, for those, if anybody's watching from Oklahoma City, if I say this, you'll go, uh-huh. There were North Siders and there were South Siders. And I was a South Sider. And so South Siders meant that you were slower and dumber because most of the money was in North Oklahoma City. Now,
Isn't that is so crazy? Like, not only did we draw this line of demarcation, now we're going to tell you what the value is. These people are smart and these people are dumb. Keep
yeah.
going.
So, so yeah, grew up in that environment, grew up. So I was a South Sider.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and my parents stayed together
Mm-hmm.
until they both passed away.
Hmm.
And it was not a good relationship. They fought all the time. It was just it was rough. My dad, he drank too much.
Mm-hmm.
I nowadays, if he was alive and stuff, everybody'd say, oh, he had PTSD. He fought in World War II. He came back.
Yeah.
Parents were like, Sonny Boy was really sweet until he came back home from the war, and he came back home drinking, smoking, and kissing. And so that was their view. But
Yeah.
he was super, super wounded.
Yes. I think about that often, like we've progressed so much in our understanding of mental illness and traumatic events and what they do, because we do have a spirit, we have a mind, we have a body, and those parts of us are deeply affected by those things. I think there's this book called On Kill or Kill On or something, but the concept of the book is we as human beings, we actually are wired to take care of one another. We're wired to care. We're wired to preserve life, preserve it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we have soldiers who are taught to kill, are taught to kill. And I understand that we need it in certain areas, but it takes something from them. It changes who they are when they become someone who not only can, but who does, in fact, kill other human beings. And we need to think about that great cost. It costs them something great to become that. And we didn't acknowledge that to people like your father. We didn't realize, oh my God, we sent this young kid over there who barely knew himself in the States, and we made him pay dearly in making his soul be able to do things that he actually is not wired to do. You have to learn how to do it.
Yeah. So yeah, he and he did, like 18 years of age, drafted, gone, World War II. He came back, and you came back to, again, a bootstrapping society that said, come on, got to be successful, got to be successful. And so he was hell-bent on being successful, and it ate him up. Him up. A very benevolent soul. We talked all the time. I always had strays. Every holiday, our table was big, and we would bring in anybody that didn't have family and stuff. But at the same time was this man who raged because and I look back now and I'm like, he just wanted to feel that he actually counted for something. Right?
Oh, that makes me cry. That really hurts my heart. Yes.
That is the human spirit, right? That we want somebody to say our name.
Absolutely. We want to know that we matter.
Yeah.
We want to know that we make a difference.
And that's in the orphan care space. The most important thing that you can do when you're sitting with those kids and you're not trying to solve a problem. And thank God I had some sweet women in Guatemala years ago that down when I came thinking I was going to fix everything. Our mission team came with duffels of stuff. And but I learned a lot from them. And the big thing, they're like, when we finally, the team, out of tears, were like, well, what do you want us to do? And she's like, maybe you just want to sit with them. Maybe you want to sit with these kids for a while. And what we have learned, and what our founder, Mike Duras, says all the time, is like, you'll find a lot of kids who are in extremely vulnerable circumstances or whatever. If anybody pays attention to them at all, especially if you say their name, they'll say things like, oh, I love you. And what they're really saying is, I want you to love me. Will you please love me?
And that you see them.
Yeah, you've seen me.
You see me.
You know my name. Oh my goodness. So, but yeah, South Side, Oklahoma City girl.
You said something just in talking about, I guess, realizing that everybody just fundamentally wants to know that they matter. And what you were talking about with your father was his broken heart, feeling invisible, feeling like he was not seen. And also nobody was naming his pain. Nobody was helping him name his pain, and let him know that was, honestly, it would have been miraculous if he came back from World War II and he was like, I'm good. I am solid. That would have been the strange thing, right? So when you say that, and I'm asking this as also a person of faith and as a Black person of faith, what does that look like to you in terms of the people around you? Let me tell a story. So first, there's two things. One, the little things matter. The little things matter. I cannot get beyond the little things. I just read an article on Honey, Humans of New York, and there was this article. It's a young man. So I wanted to just say to you and all of those wonderful people who are going over and sharing space and time with people, you're changing people's lives. There's a young man. He felt like he started realizing he was gay, and he came from a very Christian background as well. He shares this information with his parents. They take him to conversion camps and stuff like this. And he just left feeling like he was absolutely on his way to hell and there's nothing he could do. And so he's very isolated and lonely. He goes to this local college, and he sees this janitor guy walking around with this big ring of keys, and he asked for a job. And the guy who is looking for a job is a young black man. The guy who is the janitor is an older white guy, and he gives him a job. And he says, I followed George around. The guy's name was George. I followed George around wherever he went. He's just like tinkering and fixing stuff. And he said, one day he was just so depressed. And he said, and George knew he was gay. George was a super conservative, like white American guy. He said, but George always asked him questions and listened to him. Here's the thing. One day he is super depressed and he's just like, done. I am so done with this. I'm not doing this any longer. And George says, don't drop out. You got school under your belt. You should go to West Point. He had never heard of West Point in his life. And George goes, you got a shot at this. Just apply. George is the only voice telling him to apply. He doesn't even know what it is. That young man applied, got into West Point, and then went on to Wharton School of Business. Oh, wow. Little thing makes a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the aggregate.
It is so true. I know in my own life, right? It was the few voices, right? It wasn't the voices of the masses. It was the few voices that told me that I counted for something and encouraged me. I was had a troubled childhood growing up, became an adult, was in a troubled relationship as an adult. And when I left that relationship and I was terrified, I didn't know what I was going to do. And it was not the voices of the masses, because the voices of the masses were telling me, it has to be you. You're the one, you need to act together because you're a woman. And so therefore it must be you, and all kinds. But it was just a few small voices that would say, no, come on, I'm going to walk alongside you. Voices that first of all actually believe the story. And so
you just made me want to ask you a question. What is the biggest generosity when you look at your life and you kind of collate it and you organize it? When you look back on it, what has been the biggest kind of gift others have given to you, Ronnie?
Time. Their time. Their presence, really.
Their time.
Somebody asked me who had the greatest influence on my life, and I would love to tell you that it was my mom or my dad or my grandma or whatever, but a person that had the greatest significant, defining moment impact in my life,
yes,
was a friend that I met at a Bible study, and we were polar opposites, but she was the one person who believed me and drove 6 hours in her car to come get me.
Oh, glory. That's a beautiful thing. That's the kind of stuff that does change a life.
Yeah, she was the only one. So I look and I'm like, you want to know who the lifesaver is? It's my friend Bev. And we see each other now? Not very much. We don't get to see each other. Our lives are different. We're in different places and stuff. But oh my gosh, do I cherish the fact that she because it's that laying down your life stuff, right?
That's right. That's right.
It is I'm not going to worry about my personal opinion about this whole thing. I'm not going right now, your life and elevating your life and bringing you to safety and giving you space to be heard, giving you just a place that feels safe in a world that does not feel safe.
Amen. You know what that is called? It's hard to hate up close.
Oh,
it's hard to hate up close. What you did was they become human. When people are human and you're just considering their humanity, listen, what color you believe is the best color, you don't give a crap about that stuff. When people are just acknowledging each other's humanity, I think it's absolutely critical and necessary, especially now more than ever. I can't even say now more than ever. It always has been very important, but this is my lifetime.
Right now, right now, you can't get away from it. Right now, there's a reckoning.
How does it feel being a white American Christian right now?
Damn vulnerable. How about it feels vulnerable because I'll tell you, this is where the U.S. piece of the puzzle comes. is that this is happening in a country where we are taught to be really proud. So there's a piece of us that's kind of embarrassed. And I got friends all over the world that are like, hi, I see your country is so sad. Are you okay? I'm like, it's
Uh,
okay. But what happened right now, and hey guys, if you are white like me, I want you to listen to this because it's true, and it's true because it honestly is true because of where we live and what we've been taught.
mm-hmm.
And this is that, again, that idea that we are strong, fiercely independent. We don't like pain. We don't want to sit and lament. We want to get things done, right? Your mom dies, you get what, 2, maybe 3 days off from work, and then get your butt back in. We don't know how to sit and to process and to listen. We want 3 easy steps. We want a solution. If it's alliterative, then we're super cool. And so we try to rush to things. And so what I'm seeing right now is a hard thing because we are stumbling all over ourselves. In the white folk community, we're just stumbling because we are trying to learn, but at the same time wanting to show that we're listening. So by listening, we want to show you how cool we are because we're listening, because we're really trying. And so we are, a friend and I were talking about, it's like, I hate the idea of having to mute people on social media, but I'm also watching it. We immediately go from, oh my gosh, we're in a crisis, to, let me tell you,
Right.
this way, you're not doing it right. You know what? I found this book. You're not reading this book. You're reading it wrong. You need to do this. Oh, by the way, there's a conspiracy theory going on. Oh,
Right.
what? After a while, you're like, I'm exhausted because
I
no,
am exhausted.
and this is not about being sensitive or anything. This is, honestly, this is, again, the human experience. Like,
That's right.
if you were told time and time again that everything you try is just one step off of right,
Mm.
any step you take is just, you're stumbling on the curb instead of walking on the road. After a while, you're like, fine, what does it matter? Because anything I try is going to be the wrong thing.
That is such a beautiful way to say that.
And so I look at us, I'm like, guys, we need to back off right now and support each other. Scripture says, if you got aught going on, and that doesn't mean if somebody pissed you off, that is like, if you've got tension going on, stop it down. It does not matter. This is not about, and this is to everybody, it does not matter right now. It is, we have got to look each other in the face and say, I'm sorry. And then, cool, I forgive you. Now let's figure this out together because we're all walking a new road, and the road feels weird and the gravel is weird beneath our feet and it's not well paved.
No, because we haven't been down here before.
We're all walking this together. So like I said, from the perspective as a white woman,
Mm-hmm.
it's vulnerable because I'm going to say certain things that I know that I'm passionate about, and I'm going to share those things. And I guarantee you somebody's going to refute me and say, well, I know just a little bit more because, I
I
follow.
read Toni Morrison's last book and you didn't. Right.
There you go. Or you know what? I have studied this, or I have read 4 books, or I'm following, oh, you're only following peacemaker voices. I'm following, the,
That is exhausting. That is exhausting. I say just do the next best. Anything, what I do know is anything that allows me
mm-hmm,
to see you, A, it's a good thing.
right?
Anything that allows me to connect with you, B, is a good thing. That's it.
Well,
Uh,
and like, like the term privilege. To a white person, you
uh-huh.
say privilege, and I automatically will tell you, I was not privileged, man. My house was volatile. I was sexually abused by a family member as a kid. I was, I had the days where my son got the meat and I got the veggies and nobody knew because I just want to make sure he had the protein to make ends meet. So when I, as a white person, hear privilege, I hear silver spoon.
Right. That's exactly right. And I think you also hear you didn't work hard to get to where you are.
Yeah. And so when, thank goodness, right? Whatever it is, and this is why we need a lot of different voices and we need dialects and stuff, is that it was not, it was
a shitstorm. It was a shitstorm.
And it was a missionary that I read a little something about a missionary that talked about privilege, that my brain went, oh,
right.
No. It was not somebody screaming. It was not a book. It was nothing. It was a Facebook post by a missionary, like a third coast kid, right? That I was like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, exactly, because essentially what privilege, what white privilege is, it's not understanding or knowing that your life wasn't easy. You weren't like the Queen of England. You didn't grow up like Sir Charles, Prince Charles.
Yeah.
But it's just saying that your life is not made more complicated, right? Because you're white. That's it. That's it.
I don't have to. And I go to plenty of countries
where
this girl sticks out like a...
Exactly. Yeah. You named most of all the continents you named, you stick out. The only one that you could maybe, but you don't really have the features, is Eastern European.
Yeah.
Because you don't look Eastern European.
No, but everywhere else, I'm the tall blonde chick.
Yeah.
That is glowing. I look, sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I swear to you, I feel and so, I'm white, and I'm white, and white privilege and stuff does not make me ashamed of being white. It's like, you know what?
You shouldn't be.
I'm proud to be white because that's what God decided. He decided
exactly
when he was melanating my skin, he just decided he was going to share more with somebody else.
Because, right over here.
Oh, and as a kid, and this, I have not shared this. Please. As a kid, growing up in the 60s, which will tell you how my age.
You're 35. Go on.
Still, in my soul. But in the 60s, I grew up in a culture where our city was extremely segregated, extremely red line. And my dad felt it really, really, somebody just said, I love you ladies together. Sean Ronne. But I grew up, and my dad felt it so important because he was still trying to have worth and value, right? That he had to have a maid.
Because he had to, you know why? What you're actually going to? I love that you say, because my dad had to feel important. In order for us to feel a sense of importance, if we're not an evolved soul, it has to be in comparison to another. So I have to have somebody that I'm better than. I have to.
So it was like he had to have a Cadillac,
right,
every other year, and we had to have a maid. Now my mom would clean the house before Birdie would show up because my mom was so embarrassed. She didn't want Birdie to think that she was a bad housekeeper. My mom despised the idea. Thing is that, and God, thank God Birdie was so patient with a little 4-year-old buck.
I'm sure Birdie loved the heck out of you.
Because I asked a lot of clumsy questions, but I asked about skin color. I asked the whys. I did that.
I love that you're saying that, because I just want to say right now, since I have this platform, there's no such thing as colorblind, and nobody needs you to be. But we should be color appreciative. Just like when I get a bouquet of flowers from my husband, I don't go, I'm going to ignore those red. I'm not going to even see them. I see all the colors, and the colors is what makes it beautiful. So I think the variation in us is, one, God actually wants to give us something to appreciate. 2, I think God wants to give us another way to love like he loves.
Yeah. So the thing is that my favorite thing to do, because Birdie, I don't know who dropped her off to our house, because she lived opposite side of town, and she would only, she came to our house once a month on a Saturday. But my dad would drive her home. And my favorite thing to do was to drive to her house. And I kept asking her
Where
if
did
I
Birdie sit? I'm just curious.
always in the back seat.
Mm-hmm.
But you know where I sat? Always in the back seat too, because I was little, so we hung together. And then I would sit on the hump because those were long, way before
Girl, I know you just flying all over the place, and we're like, and kid, it's
Bible.
like Flannery O'Connor, the author, the Southern author. She
Mhm.
said, "Childhood. It's amazing any of us made it out alive."
Oh, seriously. I sit and go, yeah, I used to sit in the, like in the back, and you'd lay in the back of that big Cadillac and look out the window, whatever, like up high. But my favorite thing to do was to go because I would go into Birdie's house and there was peace there.
Glory.
And so I would beg Birdie, it's like, can I come live with you? Because what like I would like, I don't understand why I can't be black. Because it wasn't that I understood race. I honestly thought that if you were black, that meant that you loved people. Because white people were mean and they fought all the time. Black people were fun, and her house always smelled good and
Mm.
people laughed in it. And
Did
so,
you ever Did you ever see Birdie again in your adult life?
mm-mm.
Did she
It's
have children?
I don't even know her last name. Didn't even know.
Oh,
And I'm sure she now right now is hanging out with my mom.
well,
Having
Birdie, we see you, Birdie.
a party right now. But yeah, but that was my first understanding that I just didn't understand, right? Is like, why can't I be black? Because black people have fun and black people laugh.
Mm.
And white people don't get to. White people, your dad screams at you and threatens your life. Why can't I be black? So, um,
That reminds me, I had the opposite. So I wanted to be white. I
and,
put, yeah, I was like, God, if you, because they
right,
kept calling me nigger. So I thought if I could just be white,
and what
you
you're
know,
really finding is like, I just want to be known.
that's
I
it.
feel safe. So,
And
but
have fun and be liked.
yeah, I grew up in a segregated society until I was in eighth grade.
Hmm.
And then a judge in Oklahoma City decided, I think anything that starts with forced is probably not a wise decision. So forced desegregation, you're like, I don't know if it starts with forced.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, that also just sets the tone for what they felt. I mean, like,
Yeah.
Brown v. Board of Education happened way in the 50s. It'd be into the 60s, 70s, and sometimes in the 80s before that was actually implemented into various cities around the United States of America. It was the law of the land. And it would be 10 or more years before the various cities would
Mhm.
go, I guess we got to do this. It
Yeah.
also speaks to how they perceived it,
Yeah.
the fact that it's forced.
And the judge that passed it and put it into action, there were a lot of us, like even as a kid, especially in middle school and then going through high school, I had a lot of opinions about things,
Mm-hmm.
kind of vocal. So I was the one screaming like, well, why are his kids in private school if he thinks this is so good for everybody? This is so unfair. I just,
Mm-hmm. Were you uncomfortable with having black kids in school with you?
mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
I really wasn't. I felt sorry for the kids because I was one of the privileged ones that got to stay in my neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
They had to take a bus 40 minutes away from their moms and their dads and everything that was familiar.
But their school was a crap hole, just so you know.
But
That's why. Yes, I get it.
yeah, and I understand. I mean, man, I would do anything for the education system. I would so many things. To this day, there's such inequality across.
Have you ever just sat back and wondered this? Like sometimes my husband and I sit down and think about it. He's a white guy. I'm clearly a black, brown girl here. And sometimes we're just like, it is just such an arbitrary thing. Like it's skin. It's literally it's skin.
Yeah,
And that is the only it's just such an arbitrary thing to find. That's the creative thing. We'll use all sorts of creative measures to figure out ways to hate each other. Because I'm like, it doesn't, it's not even an intelligent thing. Like, it's like, I could get a little bit more if you're like, the dumb people versus the smart people. I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying so, but I could at least understand there's deficiencies there that maybe you get frustrated dealing with because the synapses are not hitting as fast over here. But I literally, we have sat down, we're like, this is just so bogus. Like skin, it's like hair color. It's like, who sat down would just be like, you know what? We don't like blonde people.
Mm.
It seems to be the most arbitrary basis to like or not like somebody.
There was, oh my gosh, what? They've done the test, right? That, you know, if you got brown eyes versus if you got blue eyes and all that kind of stuff. And like, okay, we're going to hate everybody has brown eyes.
Right?
Blue eyes. And then folks will go, well, that's the most idiotic thing I've ever seen in bar, you know, and then you're like, but we
did it.
But we do it that way.
Right.
Oh, people, come on.
It's so bizarre. Like it really is bizarre.
Human. Because we are made in the image and likeness of God.
Absolutely.
Made image and likeness. He in Genesis 1 made man and woman, said that we were leaders from the get-go and called us very good.
Mm-hmm. Called us very good. I love that.
Very good. And we don't have a clue. We can sit all day long and try to figure out what we think image and likeness is. But whatever it is,
It's this. It's that. That's right. It's this and that.
And somehow we both look like our Father.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So, but
which
yeah,
makes me think she has lovely skin.
Man, I'm telling you, I will tell you.
Because you have great skin. It's lovely.
You know what? Being Northern European, you know what I tell everybody though is that I don't want to hide where laughter is lived. And
I don't want to hide where laughter is lived. Quotable moment.
I have friends. Oh my gosh, we will go to these beautiful countries where these women are.
They glow.
They glow, and then they've got the wrinkles and all of that. Oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. At the same time, in our country, we are demonizing age.
Absolutely.
Race is a serious issue.
Yeah.
Good God, people, we demonize everything.
Absolutely.
It is race. It is age. It is gender. We just need to sit down, shut up, listen,
and figure out how to love
and see each other.
Absolutely. Right. Really, absolutely. It's interesting too, you know, like what racism said. It's interesting how, oh gosh, and we only have like a few minutes left, but how racism is. It's like I forget the thought because I'm so concerned with running out of time. There's questions I want to ask you. We'll have to do it again. So I want to know, what is the big thing you want people to take away from this talk? I know what I want to do.
You know, what I want people to take away more than anything is that they really, the power to make change. Mm-hmm. And this is even if you're a person of faith and you're like, I don't know, it's all about Jesus. I don't take for God. And you're like, really? He took a knee and washed dirty feet, including washed feet of the dude that had lynch him. So no.
That's right.
It is sit, relax, take a breath, sit with somebody and get to know them. And you're probably going to find out that you can change each other's worlds. Mm-hmm. But we all want to make a difference, and difference is sitting right in front of us. It's sitting right in front of us, and it's longing for us to step in. Yeah, it absolutely. Is hungry for us to step into the conversation. Mm-hmm.
It's so true. It's so true.
And relax and realize that it's not an easy thing, right? It's relational.
Last minute.
It is not quick fix. It is walking the long road.
That's right.
Walking the long road.
Okay, 50 more seconds. I just have my ending questions that I asked in the spirit of James Lipton. What sound or noise do you love?
Big belly laughs from a baby.
I do love those too. What sound of noise do you not like?
Silence, complete silence.
Don't like that. Okay. What is your favorite word?
My favorite word. Ah. Oh, I have so many.
Throw out one. We got 19 more seconds.
Oh, my favorite word is you.
Ah, you. I love it. If heaven exists, what do you want God to say when you get there?
Hey, girl, come on in. I love you. Let's eat chicken.
I love it. Ronnie, it's about to shut us off. I love you. Thank you for holding space with me. You have a beautiful day.